Hey everyone, Chris Mattson here. In this video, I'm going to introduce to you Chapter 3 of the guidebook and point out a few key things that I think if you know about before you get into the chapter will help you understand the material just a little bit better. First thing is let's contextualize Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is the first of 3 chapters that are focused on the Braun ET66 calculator. This is a famous calculator. Not too many calculators show up in museums, but this is the kind of calculator that shows up in museums and is in museums. This calculator is a great one to be a first CAD project because it is a complex, real, actual product, and it's difficult to do, but it is made up of just simple CAD operations. Just extrudes, cuts, revolves, and chamfers. And that is awesome, okay? Because you don't need to know a tremendous amount to make a pretty awesome product. So that's why I've chosen to do this one. And in this chapter, Chapter 3, you will learn how to make some critical parts of the ET66 calculator. In the next chapter, you will learn how to assemble those parts together into a product. And in the third part of this series, you will learn how to make some engineering drawings and change the appearances of the product and make renders and other really cool things. All right, but back to Chapter 3, which is to make the parts. Make the parts. So one of the main parts you're going to make in Chapter 3 is the ET66 calculator front cover. This is a complex part, and it's the first one I'm asking you to jump into. And frankly, I'll tell you right now, if you can make the ET66 calculator, and it will take a lot of hours, but if you can make the ET66 calculator, you will be able to make 80 to 90% of all engineered parts that are out there in the world. So this is worth the effort. It's worth the effort. And there's a couple things I want you to know as you get going on this. 3 principles. I don't know if I want to call them principles, but I'm going to call them principles right now anyway for a second, okay? Principle number 1 is the principle of decomposition. Anytime we have a complex shape or a complex task or a complex anything in front of us, we can make that job more manageable by breaking it up into its simpler pieces. You're going to have to do this throughout your career and throughout this course. You're going to have to take some complex shape and think about what are the simple shapes that make up that complex shape. Once you have that sort of complex shape decomposed, then you can think about your CAD strategy. The CAD strategy is the simple set of operations that are done in a particular order to produce a complex shape. In this chapter, Chapter 3, I need you to focus on understanding CAD strategy. You're going to have to do it throughout the entire course. And so we're going to just get started right here and right now. And to help you with that, I am showing you my CAD strategy for the ET66 front cover. And I'm breaking it down and telling you why I'm doing particular things in the guidebook so that you can follow along. All right, now there's a couple of other parts you're going to create in this chapter. 2 buttons, a foot pad, a modification to the back cover, and I'm not necessarily telling you the CAD strategies for those. So you need to practice with me guiding you on the cover, and then you need to extend that to these simpler parts and have yourself develop some CAD strategies for those parts. All right, that's item number 1. Item number 2 is that in this chapter, you're going to learn how to read engineering drawings. In a real way, engineering drawings are a language unto themselves. And it is important for you to understand that language, to get into that language. And you're going to do that now in this chapter by reading the engineering drawings for the ET66 calculator front cover. There's 6 or so pages in those drawings, and it's complex. It's going to be painful. But you will find in those drawings the information that you need to create the solid CAD model for that front cover. And I'm confident that when you are done modeling that ET66 calculator front cover, which will take you a lot of hours, you will feel a huge sense of accomplishment because it is a huge accomplishment to do that. And you will be set to make all kinds of engineering models after you've learned how to do that. But one of the main things you're learning at the same time is how to read the engineering drawings. All right, and the third thing that's coming out of Chapter 3 that I want you to pay close attention to is the notion of a 5-step process that you can use to create any engineering CAD model. The first step of that process is to understand the purpose of the model. This is really important because different purposes will result in the need for different kinds of models. So you need to pay close attention to what kind of model is needed. So that's the first part, is to understand what is needed out of the model, or what kind of model is needed. The second thing that you're going to learn, second thing that you're going to do in this process is you're going to hand sketch. You're going to hand sketch out the basic things that you're going to need to do, including the strategy. And this is going to save you a lot of time in the CAD system, a lot of time. All right, and then the third one is you're going to get in there and actually do the modeling. This is to do the CAD work. And then the fourth one is that we don't want to just do any CAD work. We want to produce models that are good. And how are we going to know if they're good? Well, we're going to analyze them. That's the fourth part, analyze. You're going to analyze those models as you go along. You're going to check the mass properties. You're going to check some measurements on things. You're going to double check to see that everything is fully defined. You're going to make sure your materials are assigned, all those kinds of great things. And the fifth thing at the end of the process is that you'll present your CAD work. And this comes in a variety of forms, depending on what's going on with the needs. But sometimes we're presenting our work in an engineering drawing. Sometimes we're presenting it in a render. Sometimes we're presenting it in an animation. Whatever way it is that we're presenting it, this is almost always the last step of the creation of the CAD model. Because it doesn't work, it doesn't value anyway, it's not really valuable to anyone, okay, if that CAD model is created and then just sits on your computer, or sits on your computer and doesn't help anyone. You got to get that out to someone else. And so those are the 5 steps. Understand, sketch, as in hand sketch, model, analyze, present. You follow that process, you're going to be able to create any CAD model and produce something that's valuable. Okay, that's it for the Chapter 3 introduction. Look for those things as you're reading the chapter. Good luck on all the exercises.